Camera number 119 of 365 is the EOS 100. Requires batteries to operate all its functions, so let's go ahead and put a battery in the camera. You'll notice it's a 2CR5 battery that goes into the grip, and then we just close our door, being careful with the little plastic tongue there that it doesn't break. So then looking at the front of the camera, to take our EOS lens off, we can just simply depress the button, and I use the 35 to 135 f4 5.6 ultrasonic lens on this particular camera. And then all we have on the front here is a beam assist for the focus and a self-timer light that actuates when we set that. And then we can just about see the shutter button and command or control dial, which we use in conjunction with some of the buttons on the top plate of the camera. So let's turn our attention to the top plate. So the camera's on the off position with this red L for lock. So we'll just run through the dial first of all. So we can set the camera to program, and we've now got a camera that will basically make all the decisions for us regarding aperture and shutter. All we have to do is focus and press the button. Very convenient. We then have shutter priority, aperture priority, manual mode, and then we can go into depth mode, where the camera focuses between 2 or 3 of the focus points and keeps everything in focus. ISO, we get to choose our ISO, which again is a nice feature. We then have multiple exposures. We get to choose them by rotating the dial. We can choose up to 9. And then we have auto exposure bracketing, and the way we set that up is with the dial on the back here. When it's set to this 1, rotating it, just get the camera to operate, we'll normally, for some reason it's not wanting to function for me, so let's just, not quite sure why that is. Ah, I do beg your pardon, it's not the dial on the back, it's the dial on the top. Ah, there we go, and there we have auto exposure bracketing, and it's reflected there. We have a number of custom functions, CF, which we use this dial for. We can allow the camera to roll the film right into the canister or not. I have discussed the camera functions. I think there's, well, let's just go and check, there's 7 of them. Consult the manual, there are too many to go through, but quite a nice selection of functions that we can choose from there. And then going back, pass lock and another program mode. The first one, P, is actually, I believe, shiftable. There we go. Whereas the green one isn't. It literally is a point and shoot. We have no ability to change the settings. We then have portrait mode, landscape, macro, sports mode, and barcode mode. Now, I have discussed this in a previous video with regard to the Canon EOS 10. There's a sensor here, and there's a separate accessory where we can program in set aperture and shutter speeds according to certain conditions that we want, like weddings or taking children. If you want to find out more about that, please consult the other video. It's the Canon EOS 10. And so then if we go back to program mode, we now have drive mode on the right hand side here. We can choose from one shot. Sorry, beg your pardon, that's not the drive, that's the focus. We have it's individual or single, we have multiple or continuous shots, or a self-timer and cable release, which is electronic in the Canon EOS 10. Here we go, so single, continuous and self-timer. And then the autofocus mode goes from one shot to a servo. So that's a single focus or continuous focus. Okay. We have a memory lock button here that we can now. You can press it just once and it locks it, and press it again and it unlocks it. I forgot to mention on the other side here. Let's just go back to these other two dials. We have our focus. Sorry, not our focus. It's yes, it is focus. I beg your pardon. It's focus where we can choose from a single point. There we go, single point. We can do matrix if you like, metering, and then we can do center weighted. So center weighted, spot, and matrix metering. We can also choose from with this button exposure compensation, and that is with the dial on the back here. You can see that hopefully changing. And then we have a flash button and a red eye button as well. Okay, so that's been a bit of a whistle-stop tour around the camera, but it's quite a number of features, very similar in fact to the EOS 10, I have to say, but nonetheless it was an enjoyable camera to use. And so that has been camera number 119 of 365, the Canon EOS 100.